Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Untold. In today's episode, we have no other than my best friend and my brother, Juan. Juan came on the first ever recorded episode of Untold, and that discussion was very interesting. We delved into health, into fitness, especially, and he comes again back into the show only 6 or 7 episodes later. That's not by design, but it's also not by mistake. Juan is one of the persons with whom I have the most interesting discussions and conversations. So it's only natural that he's going to be popping up frequently. In this conversation, we discussed a lot about mindset, about how to become a better version of yourself. And it's something very cool because it's something that Juan and I would naturally discuss in one of our phone calls. But the fact that we did it recorded and on the podcast made it so much more serious, but in a good way. I think there's a lot of insights that you're genuinely going to enjoy from this. And I hope you like it as much as we liked it when we recorded it. With that said, I'll leave you to the podcast and welcome to Untold. Where do you see the fitness world going?
So I was talking about this with my parents the other day. After COVID, we had like a big tendency of people wanting to do everything at home. And the trend was, if I can do it at home, why go outside to do it? This gave online coaching a very big push. But now that 6 years have gone by, no, 5 years, people are realizing the value of going out to the world increasingly every time. So I think this trend of studios, fitness studios, Pilates, CrossFit, now High Rocks, indoor cycling studios is coming back strongly. And the trend is going back there to community-based institutions that give you the possibility to have an awesome workout without the necessity of getting it out of your mind. So what I've realized now, like,
What do you mean by getting it out of your mind?
having a great workout by yourself requires strength of mind. Like, you don't get to the gym and have an amazing workout and push your PRs and get a nice sweat if your mind isn't there. You maybe get an average workout, but if you really want a quality workout that's pushing you forward, you need intensity. And I'm not only talking about lifting weights, I'm also talking about cardio workouts and metabolic kind of training in which you're trying to get more conditioned. If the intensity is not there, you're not going to improve, you're going to maintain. With this studio type of training, you're
Community-based
kind
training.
of exactly community-based training. Good. You're kind of giving this passing this problem down to the coach, and you're saying, here, I give you some of my money, but I don't want to need to focus on having an amazing workout. I want to just show up, and the rest is on you. And if I come here and I have an amazing workout, I meet cool people, I'm willing to pay for that, even if I could do it for free on my own, or virtually free, because nowadays, like, mostly every big city has a $20, 20 euro a month gym subscription that will give you the access to the weights. Maybe, of course, there's premium gyms that have a lot of value to add to the traditional gym, but nowadays a normal weight room is very accessible in terms of money. But the thing is, if you want to have amazing workouts day after day after day, you can buy that. And if you want to use your mind and your mind strength and your energy in other things, in your work, in creativity, in pushing forward with your 9 to 5 work, or even with your second project, it's a good idea to just pay a community-based studio that will give you access to amazing workouts, and also, of course, connection. No, because especially if you're working remotely, it's very likely that you're isolating yourself from society, and these studios give you the possibility of, even if you have a remote job, you get to connect with people and to feel part of something bigger than yourself, which I think it's a very big need that us humans have, and we're increasingly realizing that shit, this makes a difference. Like, being isolated is really bad for my health.
Yeah, mental health. So I think you can work as much as you want on your physical health at home, but if you're not pushing yourself to get out there, spend time in the community, which I think it's the way that things have worked for the longest of times. Like, people used to live in community, and actually it's something that even 50 years ago, it was much more prevalent than nowadays with technology. If you think back 50 years ago, people just used to be much more connected with their neighbors.
Yeah.
They used to go to church. Is this idea of the third space? I think I'm not sure if you've read about it. Um, People tend to socialize or live their lives in three spaces. The first one being their home. In the modern day, the second one would be the office that they work in, and then usually it's a great idea to have a third space, because otherwise you're just commuting from one space to the other space, meaning like you sleep at home, then you wake up, have breakfast, go to the office, work. But then many people are done with their work at 5, 6, 7 p.m., and they still have 4 hours of life at least on which they don't necessarily want to be alone at home. Or if they have a family, maybe that's more appealing. But especially like young people that are living in cities, their alternative is to find a third place to spend their time. And I think gyms, fitness studios are a great alternative to that. And it's something that was very, very much lost during COVID. And I agree with you. Like right now, it's coming back full force.
I love it. I love what you just said. I think I went around your question and didn't give a right answer. And I think you just said the bottom line, that is, fitness is going, the future of fitness is creating that third space for people.
Yeah. Also, I think there's two benefits from it, in my opinion. The community-based training. The first one is what you said, like the aspect of there's a coach there, there's someone who's practiced and has experience in making people, in getting the best out of people, you know, pushing people to their limits. That's definitely a big plus there. But then you also have um, everything that has to do with the community, which in itself pushes people to their limit. So I think many humans, if not all of us, have somewhat of a competitive nature.
Mm-hmm.
Males and females, we both compete just in very different ways. I
Yeah.
think this is something that I find super interesting that we could maybe speak about later, which is like the nature of how males and females compete. But no one wants to be the worst in class. Like no one wants to be the worst in like
Yeah.
school. No one wants to be the worst in school class or like fitness class, or no one wants to be the worst in the office. So it's sort of a competition. Like it pushes you to be the best version of yourself. All of this like community training. And also, if you go, I think one of the reasons why many people are moving to these like shared spaces is to make friendships, meet people. You want to seem competent. And the best way to do
I
that
agree.
is to push yourself and be better every time you go. So
And show up.
I, yeah, and I think that's the second benefit, which is like in the fitness sense. So you get a very good training. And secondly, the community, like the environment makes you push yourself a bit harder than you would if you were to do it alone at home or even alone in a gym.
I love what you just said. I want to connect it with something that I learned recently. and a little bit, of course, you know that. But for people in the podcast, I am currently working at becoming a indoor cycling instructor, and I am mostly new to this world. Of course, I'm learning fast. Not of course, but thank God I'm learning fast because I had a lot of background in music from my past, and rhythmic cycling and indoor cycling. It's a lot of about understanding music, so this has helped a lot. And then, of course, the fitness base that I've built also has helped for me to learn. But basically, in this indoor cycling world, they use they use a lot of choreography during classes. And when I was an outsider to this world, I thought like, man, this doesn't make sense. Training is not about choreography. It looks like doing the 70s aerobics class that you saw uh, like on TV or in the movies, and it didn't make sense to me. I should accept, I almost criticized it. Like that looks not so cool.
Cringe.
Then, yeah. And then I started doing it, and I quickly realized that if you're pedaling and if you're really pushing the resistance wheel to your limits, if you're really trying to have a hard class while doing the things that the instructor is cueing you to do, and you try to follow the choreography, you actually forget about the pain. But the pain is there. So you improve much faster. So I'm just connecting the dots with what you just said. Like the cool thing about this indoor rhythmic cycling thing is actually the choreography and the movements, because it's not like doing push-ups on the bike is going to build you the pecs that you could build in the gym lifting your own weight with a bench press. Obviously not. So if you're a gym guy looking at the indoor cycling guys and saying, "Oh, come on, that doesn't build your pecs," get out of your head a little bit and understand that if they're doing it, it is for a reason, and the reason is you actually, while trying to do the choreo, forget about the pain and become better. Your VO2 max grows. My VO2 max in the indoor cycling thing has grown from 59 to 61. And before that, I was running a lot and it wasn't growing. So it's somehow it works.
Yeah, I mean, every training is good for a different thing in the end. Like, if you want to grow the chest of the century, you're not going to do indoor cycling. Like, it's just simply not for that. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, I've done indoor cycling once or twice in the last couple of years. It can be very good for you, and you're going to grow probably very big legs. Uh, and it's fun in itself. Like, I enjoy the times I've done it. Just like, I get what you say, and like I don't say it in a critical sense. Like, I just, all of these people like doing things in the bikes, I'm gonna laugh at you a lot when I see you do it, probably, but it's gonna be fun.
No. I like, of course, when you get into the thing, you start loving it.
And what have you learned from it, other than like the obvious cycling aspects of it, cycling techniques? What are some of the lessons you've gained from this new thing that you're getting into?
I'm gonna give you the biggest one, and it it grew my definition, the definition I gave to fitness and to wellness. It showed me how connection is 10 times, 100 times more important than I thought it was. When you go to these workouts and you listen to the music and you have an instructor, a coach that's pushing you to disconnect from your real life, to forget about your problems, to be in this room and be fully present for 1 hour, for 45 minutes in the session, you realize that it really has an impact on the rest of your day. It makes your life better. And yeah, of course, you could find a bunch of workouts that will have a stronger adaptation on and a stronger stimulus on becoming more fit. But sometimes, and this is a recurring idea that I found in the last months and that I have in my mind. Sometimes the solution to the problem, if the problem is this would be this circle, sometimes it's outside the problem.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
in this
I think,
case,
yeah, I think the fastest way is not always the best way.
exactly. That's a nice
So
way to put it. Love it.
one of my favorite quotes is actually related to this, which is, in the short term, prioritize consistency. In the long term, prioritize. I fucked it. I have it
Go
somewhere
again.
here. Let me find it. Let me find it. But it's on
In the short
consistency and
term,
intensity.
prioritize intensity, and in the long term, prioritize consistency. No?
So yeah, like that's the gist of it. I'm not gonna spend it whatever amount of time I would to find the quote, because as you know, I have uh an insane amount of quotes in my quote directory, or
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, basically sometimes the long path, if it's more sustainable, is the better path. So there's this very good story. I don't remember. I think I might have mentioned it to you already. And I don't remember all the details, but I think it was back in the 50s, 1950s, maybe in the 1900 20th century. They had two groups of men that flew or arrived to Antarctica, and they were going on an adventure, on a travesty, to get like to the South Pole, like the bottom of the world. Um, and they had it was two groups of men. One of them were British, and then the other group was from one was a Norwegian team. So it was the British team and the Norwegian team. And the British team, they took two complete different approaches. The British team, basically, their idea was push as hard as they could every day until they reached the South Pole. And the Norwegian team had a complete different approach, which was move 20 kilometers forward every day. And it was kind of conflictive, the second approach. Why? Because there were some days that the weather was amazing. There were some weathers that the weather was shit. And the days in which the weather is great, you feel like you can go 40, 60 kilometers forward. The issue from doing that is, if you move 60 kilometers a day, one day, and the day after you have bad weather, you're not going to move at all. Long story short, not to get into the details, because I don't recall them. The Norwegian team ended up like completely destroying the British team, and they arrived like 2 weeks before the British team to Antarctica, to the South Pole. And it shows the benefit of finding something sustainable. And I think these community-based trainings make sports sustainable for people that wouldn't find them sustainable otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also the fun aspect, no? Uh, the first thing I try to reach with my clients, because coming back to reality, even though I'm delving into the world of impressive fitness, my activity is online coaching and online fitness coaching. And the first objective I always have with my clients, like I always ask them, what do you want? And they want to reduce their fat percentage to a certain amount. They want to increase their muscle mass to a certain amount. And I said, okay, those objectives are okay. But our first checkpoint is getting you to actually enjoy a workout. And I want you to tell me when you enjoy your first workout, when you start the workout craving it, and you finish the workout with the feeling of, oh, now everything is all right because I did my workout. When you have that feeling, we're onto something. And with this indoor cycling, or probably it happens, I haven't ever done reformer Pilates or other community-based workouts. I have done CrossFit, but the thing is, you enjoy from the first workout because you have fun. And when you enjoy, consistency becomes like so much easier.
Yeah,
So
it's this idea. I don't know if you listened to the latest, or it was released Thursday. This idea from Chris Williamson on motivation, discipline, and obsession, which is I love the insight. Also, for anyone listening, you need to sign up to Chris Williamson's newsletter, because every Monday it's called 3 Minute Monday. He sends an email with an idea he's been thinking about, like a short essay, usually under 1,000 words, so super quick to go through, and it genuinely gives interesting ideas. So the one from a few weeks back that he also mentioned in his last podcast was the difference between discipline, motivation, and obsession, and he refers to them like relates them to friction. So he speaks about discipline is friction accepted.
okay.
So imagine, like, discipline is doing something regardless of not necessarily wanting to do it. Then motivation is friction reduced. So doing something because you have a short-term or medium-term desire to do it. And then obsession is friction inverted. So obsession would be the equivalent of having a more difficult time not doing something than doing it. And the most important thing of all of this for me is obsession. Obsession is a terrible thing to waste, because obsession and motivation especially are fleeting. You have them for a certain amount of time and eventually they disappear. And
They do.
very often obsessions are looked down on as this thing that you need to be able to control. But in reality, obsession is something that you should embrace. Of course, depends on the obsession. There's very bad obsessions, but there's obsessions that, sure, don't necessarily no obsession looks healthy. But if you account for the fact that eventually you won't be as obsessed as you were initially, delving into that obsession and only leads you to having the motivation and the discipline for long enough. So, I mean, you've been obsessed with tennis. I've been obsessed with tennis. You've been obsessed with going to the gym. I've been obsessed with going to the gym. It's this thing that sets out the foundation for a behavior that you're going to continue to repeat for very long in your life, because it helps you change your identity, right?
Yeah, I love it. You will always also like reminisce about those good old days in which you were doing this or that. In my case, I have two examples of like strengthening your point. Back in the day when I was on banking, I would wake up at 5 a.m. to get to the tennis club at 6 a.m., play tennis from 6 to 8, 2 hours every day, mostly every day, and then get to work at 9. And for me, those are the good old days of tennis. Not good old days of my life. Like, my life is still amazing in its own way. But yeah, obsession. Like, and in those days, I didn't feel bad about it, and I'm proud of me for not feeling bad about it, and not beating myself about that. Of course, there were a bunch of problems, or of course, I was underslept. but I was having fun.
You're
Mm,
you're someone with an obsessive tendency. You are
oh, I,
very, yeah, much more than me. And I like this is something that everyone in the family knows, which is you when you're into something, you are very into it until eventually you're not so into it anymore. Uh, and that's been the case for when you played the drums back in the day, when you played baseball, tennis. Now, I mean, you had your period with burpees. So this guy would wake up every day, do
that was
200
my
burpees.
second. That was my second example.
No, but you have so many. Like you have way more than me. I think I'm someone that like unfortunately, because I genuinely would want to be more obsessive about things. You're, uh, because I think obsession sometimes is what it's a requirement for greatness.
But consistent obsession.
Yeah.
So so
No,
yeah, I
I disagree. No, it doesn't need to be consistent obsession. It just needs to be obsession, and you need to be afterwards be good enough to keep the discipline and motivation. But you don't need to be obsessed forever.
agree.
You just need to utilize that obsession to set on the right habits and define an identity, right? Uh,
I agree.
and
So
I think that
so with
that's maybe what you're lacking so far.
yeah, yeah. I like two things that came up to my mind while I listened to you. The thing, of course, yeah, the burpees. Uh, I I was obsessed about burpees, and I did at a certain point in my life, I did 200 burpees for every morning for 60 days, which is a lot of burpees. I was super ripped, and it actually paid my results, because at a certain point I was like, the thing with burpees, it's one of the activities that can burn the most amount of calories. It's one of the most bang for your buck workouts that you can do. So at a
I
certain
hate
point,
them.
I could do 200 burpees in, I don't know, 15 minutes. And what that meant, it was like after 20 minutes every morning, I had already burnt 500 calories, or maybe not 500, 400, but it's still a lot of work. And I could go about my day. I was already adapted to it, so I could even work out once more throughout the day. And the thing with this is it's paying dividends, and it's still paying dividends for me, even if I'm not doing it anymore. So the one of the things with obsession is embrace it and understand that it will pay dividends throughout your life. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, the drums, the drumming, the music, the obsession about music, it's paying dividends right now for me. It's making it easier for me to become a indoor cycling instructor, and I never thought of that in my life. I did the MBA in Bocconi 2 years ago, and it's still marinating in the fridge, and I
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
it will pay off. It's
Look,
just not right now.
life has to be lived forward, but it only makes sense in reverse. I I don't know. Like I might have already spoken about this idea on the show. The reason why I don't remember if I did is because the episode I recorded with Daniel, we had to record twice. So I don't know if I said this in the first time we recorded it, or in the second time, or in both times. But it's a great idea about Steve Jobs. Maybe you've heard of it, on which during his time at Stanford, he took a class that was on typography, which for a computer science major, I think he was, or like
Hmm.
like his major was very technical. It doesn't make at all sense to make a calligraphy, typography less class, because what what would be the benefit of that? It's like doing an economics major and taking a lesson on music. Two completely unrelated things. And for years after that, he didn't really have like any benefit from that. But of course, it was in the back of his mind, something that you
Hmm.
just kind of stayed dormant. And he highlighted, I remember where I heard the story, he highlighted it in a speech, inauguration speech, I think, or a graduation speech. He said that that class was the class that made him double down and focus on everything that had to do with UX and UI on the Mac OS. So when he began designing all of the different fonts and different things for the Mac OS, that's the little light bulb that kind of lit up when he started designing all of that. So yeah, I agree with you. Like in life, nothing is ever too stupid to learn, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very isolated side note, because you just make me think about calligraphy and writing. One of the coolest things that AI has done for me is, like, 5 years ago, I was always looking for this notebook that would allow me to migrate my notes, my handwritten notes. I really like to write with my hands, to the computer. And AI made this possible. So nowadays, I have been able to go back to writing in a notebook and still have these ideas become digital, which was not possible without AI. It was a problem.
You just reminded me of something. I mean, that's a great life hack. So right before the episode, we were discussing if this should be more of a life hacks episode. That is a great one, which is write down with a pen and paper, journal with a pen and paper, and then I agree. Having your notes digital is so much better than having them on a notebook, because on a notebook you don't have a search bar. Like a search bar
Yeah.
a search bar is so useful, but I cannot remember who the person was. But this is completely crazy. So it's a story of this author, I believe, that throughout his life lost his eyesight. So he used to write with a pen and paper, and at some point in his like adult life began losing his eyesight. So instead of writing like with a pen and paper, he began writing in a writing machine, and his writing style completely changed.
Okay.
So you can read his books like pre writing machine and post writing machine, or like in other words, pre losing his eyesight and post losing his eyesight. And the way that he wrote in both of those is completely different.
That's
And
crazy.
I feel this, like when I journaling with pen and paper makes me think even slower than journaling in like my phone or like my computer. Yeah, it was Nietzsche, actually. So the story is Friedrich Nietzsche in 1882, facing near total blindness, the German philosopher began using a Molling Hansen writing ball, one of the earliest typewriters, to continue his work. Nietzsche personally contacted the typewriter inventor Rasmus Malling Hansen in Copenhagen to acquire the device. Once he started using it, he and those around him noticed a distinct change in his writing style. His prose became tighter and more aphoristic. His own words. Nietzsche himself was aware of the shift and reflected on it famously in a letter to a friend, writing, "Our writing equipment takes part in the forming of thoughts. This observation has become one of the most cited early reflections on how tools shape cognition. Remarkably prescient given today's debate about how digital technology affects the way we think and write."
Cool. Very cool. I had, like, you just blew my mind. I had never thought of it so deeply, and it's so true. Like, when I write, I think differently than when I type. Of course, the other thing about typing is that the stimulation and the dopamine hit that you're getting when interacting with a computer, especially Macs that are so cool to interact with, sometimes it's too much. So it's so stimulating that it's hard to focus in your ideas. Pen and paper, like, you really get to delve deeper inside your mind.
I fully agree. Is there something recently that you feel like you're bad at?
Definitely. You couldn't have asked a better question, actually, because I was uh, eager to share this idea with you, because I knew we were going to record the podcast from yesterday, and I was thinking about what I wanted to share, and this question is spot on. So
That's funny.
what I'm failing at, it's okay to fail. For me, like, don't take fail as a very negative word for me, because I am like I truly believe that in life the best loser wins. So I'm failing at doing content. Mm, I
Well, you're
would
so
like to.
bad.
Yeah, I know. I would like to be better. Like, and the baddest thing that I have isn't even the actual content, which is not amazing. I know, but even worse than that is the consistency, which is like 2 weeks I do like 6 pieces of content, then I disappear for 6 months. What the fuck? Um, and I yesterday I was asking myself, do you actually believe in yourself? Do you think that you can do this? And the response was yes. But then the next thought I had was like, you're full of shit. Because if you actually believed in yourself, you would be doing it. And my realization in that point was that believing is not a thought. Believing is an action. Believing
Hmm.
is doing the thing. The thing that believing in yourself, like, to be more specific, believing in yourself is doing the thing, is pursuing the dream. Believing in yourself is not thinking that you can do it.
Yeah,
Thinking that you can
yeah,
do it
fully.
is it's hope. Thinking that you can do it is hope. But believing in yourself is doing and pursuing the thing.
Fully agree. Um, I actually I know I read this to you back when I was in Milan last time. Uh, but it's and I'm not gonna really read all of it. I'm not
Your
gonna read
essay,
any of it actually. Yeah, my essay on walls, goals, and life experiences. Um,
share it in the way that you want to.
yeah, no, I'm just gonna speak about it. I'm not gonna read all of it because it would take us maybe like 5 minutes. But yeah, I fully agree. And I think sometimes we are too aware of our limits. So related to belief, when we don't believe we can do something, that often just the belief only takes away our chance at pursuing it. So I two thoughts. Belief unaccompanied by action is no belief at all. So I think that's what you said in a sentence. So you need to put your money where your money where your mouth's at, right? Uh, and sometimes ignorance is bliss. So when you're unaware of the limits, or you're unaware of what the limits are believed to be, you're in a better position as a whole. So I have two good stories about this, which is like the one of the 4 minute mile, which was then in the 40s, in the 1940s, the record for the fastest mile ever run, it it was beaten like week after week and month after month for 4 or 5 years until like in 1945. So right after like the end of the Second World War, guy, Swedish runner called Gunder Hag, probably butchered the pronunciation of that, but the guy ran the mile in like right over 4 minutes. So he ran 4 minutes, 1 second, and 3 milliseconds, I think. And at that point, what the news began saying, what even some doctors began saying, was that uh, you couldn't run a mile faster than 4 minutes because it was physically impossible and medically unsafe, that you would risk your heart exploding.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Crazy.
was the story in the news for like several years, like until 1954. And in 1954, a British medical student called Roger Bannister decided to like do the supposedly impossible. I mean, he was a medical student, so he knew by fact that your heart wouldn't explode, right? And he decided to run the mile. He trained for it and ran the mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds with 4 milliseconds. So barely 2 seconds faster than Gunder had, right? 9 years before. The funny thing is that it took 9 years for this guy to break the record. Like 9 years for no one would break the record. And right after this guy broke the record, I think for the next 46 days, like 46 days after, his record was beaten. And then in the 2 months that followed, 23 people managed to run the mile in under 4 minutes. So it comes to show sometimes ignorance is bliss. But in this particular scenario, knowledge was bliss because the guy who broke the mile initially knew that his heart was not going to explode, right? And then the other story, this one's even more interesting, and it's for anyone that's watched Good Will Hunting. Like this is the story that inspired that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Pretty good movie, so you should watch it if you haven't.
I love
But
Robbie Williams.
yeah, rest in peace. So it's the story of George Danzig, which is was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, who one day like overslept and didn't arrive to his class on time. And the topic of that class was unsolved like problems in math, you know. So what the professor had done was like he started the class writing down two very famous problems that no one had managed to solve like in years in the board. And George, like the guy that arrived late to class, was kind of too timid to just ask what the problems were on the board were. So the class was over, he went home and he just assumed they were homework, you know?
Okay.
And the guy was like, shit, this is difficult homework, you know? So it took him a bit longer than the actual, like he didn't really deliver the homework that the class after. So it took him like 2 or 3 more days. But eventually he arrived to class another day and said like, hey, professor, here's my homework from like the other class. I hope it's fine with you that I delivered it late. The professor was busy, so he kind of like, don't worry about it, like whatever. Like he didn't even know what homework he was speaking about. Goes home, 2 weeks go by, and 2 weeks after, the professor, whose name was Jersey Neiman, comes like knocking at this guy's door, like almost threw it down, and said like, hey, I
How
just
did you
wrote the
do this?
introduction to your paper. No. The guy was like, I just wrote the introduction to your paper. Read it, and I'll send it for revision, like for publication right away. And this guy George, like, was still completely lost on what was going on, only to find out that what he had delivered to the professor was like these two solved problems that no one had solved for like 20, like many years. And of course, like he got published. Like, it was like a great achievement. And in this case, like it's fully ignorance is bliss, you know, like the guy was just so unaware that he was solving something that was very, very complex. Most likely thing is the guy wouldn't have, like, if the guy didn't oversleep, he would have arrived on time. He wouldn't even have attempted solving the problem, you know? So that one I love as well.
Very cool.
But yeah, the reason I asked you, like, if you think or you felt bad at something recently is because I had this idea not too long ago, which is I wrote down something. This I can actually read because it's not long yet. I plan to write a whole essay / article on it, but it's on ego, consistency, and humility. So it says, to become truly good at anything that we are new to, We need to let go of the ego long enough for the skill set to catch up. It doesn't matter if it's public speaking, photography, or writing a newsletter. When we first begin, it's natural to suck. No amount of
Mhm.
talent will make us excellent from the start. Commitment and consistency are the only paths to excellence.
Cool. Let go of your ego. Like I was trying to explain this to my girlfriend the other day. Like I like telling her like ego
Fiancé
is the huh?
to
Yeah,
your fiancé.
exactly. Yeah. Nice. I am currently engaged, and that's a thing I'm very happy about. So breaking the news to your audience,
To the world.
uh, to the world. Yeah. Um, I was talking about this idea to her, and like she said, like of course ego is the enemy, but like for her ego was like being narcissistic, and I was like, no, but not even. Like, it's not even, even if you're not narcissistic, even then your ego is the enemy. Because you, like, if you take, and I was like, for me, the way to explain this to her was telling her, ego is no, ego is not the enemy. A too big ego is the enemy. And a too big ego is not necessarily being narcissistic. I'm sorry, I'm going in circles, but getting to my point, uh, for me, ego is taking yourself too seriously that you feel too bad to fail and to
Yeah,
continuously be wrong.
I think it's fear. It's fear based. Like when ego is tied to fear, it's a bad thing. When you're too afraid of being bad or seeming bad at something, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're not like it's the opposite of respecting yourself. Because respecting yourself is accepting you're not good at it and doing it regardless, and being confident enough that you're eventually going to be great at it if you continue going for it. That's true respect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's true ego. Like having a high ego, like a high self-respect is, yeah, I'm shit at this for now. And I'm probably going to be shit at this for a
Oh
while.
wow. Yeah.
And I know I'm going to eventually be great at it if I keep on doing it. And that's
Yeah,
self-respect.
it's I agree. It's trusting the power within of becoming good at anything if you're consistent. So it's
100%.
actually respecting yourself. Mm, I I wanted to share something. It's related. Uh, it's the 4 uncomfortable signs that you're living a good life in the modern world. And they're uncomfortable because our body rejects them naturally. Mm, but with the way the world is right now, if you're in these 4 situations, if you have these 4 feelings, it's normally a sign that you're doing things well. So the first one is being bored. Mm, if you
Okay,
feel bored,
interesting.
you're being able to disconnect and embracing boredom and avoiding overstimulation. I think it's a way to train your mind to not being overstimulated constantly, and thus it will make your life better because you will be more able to enjoy the beautiful pleasures of life better. Mm.
Yeah, I get this. I mean, it took me a bit to understand where you were going, but I do think boredom is looked down on nowadays. It's like this thing that people don't want to ever feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that it's very positive. It can be very positive. And
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago I thought about this. I was thinking about this a lot, which is the people that feel bored are the ones that eventually are bored enough that they end up doing something with their life. If you're never bored, you're always going to be satiated enough to just be content. But if you suffer boredom for long enough, it's going to get eventually so uncomfortable that you're going to push to do something meaningful.
Yeah, and like there's a million things that could come out of we could dive into this hole and talk for another hour, but
But there's three more.
There's three more. So the one thing I'll say before jumping to the next one is, I think there is in life, you have input and output. So input is reading, scrolling, watching videos on YouTube, watching movies, whatever. Output is creating. And I think society as a whole is very much balanced to the consuming and the input side. And if you don't allow yourself to create silence in your life, you won't ever create output. And if you don't create output, you will, like, your life will pass through just consuming what others did instead of doing your thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's great forms of procrastination. There's amazing forms of procrastination. Reading a book is the best procrastination ever. And listening to a podcast is very, very amazing procrastination in itself. Then you have like shit procrastination, which is watching TikToks and reels, which I do as well. Like I'm guilty, you know. But there's no doubt in the fact that until you put yourself out into the world and you create something, you're just procrastinating it, and then you risk procrastinating it until you die.
I agree.
What's
Should
number
we go
two?
for the second one?
Yeah.
Fear of rejection and actual rejection. They're both in the same bucket. So if you're feeling fear of rejection and you're having to do something about it, for example, and actually doing something about it. So I have two examples. The first audition I did for the indoor cycling studio, it was a no, but it was actually a good no. It was a no that pushed me to grow and to improve. And the second is, of course, creating content. And creating content is actually battling and getting over your fear of rejection and your fear. Like, if I would have to say, tell you, and I'm being super, super open about myself and super vulnerable. What blocks me the most about creating content is the fear that my ideas, which I think are nice and are beautiful, and I love my, in the most humble sense, I love my mind. And I have fear that I share my ideas and nobody cares. And they like,
and no
they
one's
go,
gonna love them for you.
Exactly. So that fear of rejection, if I confront it, if I embrace it, there is where the growth is going to come. So the second sign of living a good life is this fear of rejection, but the actual fear, which is when you do the thing, not the fear that blocks you.
So I think there's two good things there. I don't know if I agree then that the fear of rejection is an indicator for a good life. What I do think is the fear of rejection, and not only rejection, fear in general, is an indicator that there's something to fight for. As long as you're afraid of something, you have something to work towards and you have something you love, right? So in this particular case, you love your mind. That means a lot. Then, like, I don't know, the fear of telling someone you like them. It means that
Yeah.
you know, like it's that it's again rejection. Like the reason why you're afraid there is because you're afraid of that person rejecting you, or not feeling the same way about you. But that only means that you have love to give, and like you have, uh, yeah. So I don't know if it's necessarily, in my opinion, I don't know if it's necessarily correlated to having a good life, but it's correlated to how much life you're willing to give. But I do think that it's important to get rid of that fear, you know? That's why, as long as you're getting rid of it, sure, great. But if you're not working to get rid of it and you're living in fear all the time, then maybe that's not such a good thing, in my opinion. And then on the side of rejection, I fully agree. I think it's super important to put yourself out there and to hear no's. And if you're not failing, it's what you, a bit related to what you said earlier. If you're not failing from time to time, you're probably not trying hard enough.
Yeah, you're not pushing.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Number 3, and this is more to the coaching and fitness side of it. I think it's you should feel hungry. Like feel your stomach a little empty and say, "Damn, I'm lacking energy. I need some food." And maybe in 1 hour you get to eat. You're going to dinner with friends, and you get there and you're hungry. That for me, this is maybe the more stupid of the 4, but
No. I fully agree. I get
it's
you.
a sign that you're eating well. It's a sign that you're feeding your body well. It's a sign that you're not overfeeding yourself. And in that sense, it's also a sign that you're in control of yourself, no?
Yeah, I think that's where the value comes in this one, which is nowadays we lead lives that are way too comfortable, right? So a bit of hunger is too uncomfortable to bear for many people. And if you're able to sit in that hunger for a couple of hours, it means self-control. It means self-regulation more than self-control. Like, sure, if I could, I would eat now. But I mean, we've gone on family trips together, and we know some of the people in our family trips, sometimes even maybe ourselves, are pretty bad at saying, "I'm hungry, but sure, I'll wait for a bit until I eat." Right? Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if these are signs of a good life. I think I would work on the title for this. So I would maybe
Yeah.
call it like uncomfortable feelings that indicate something good rather than bad. You know?
This is what I wrote, because you're right. It's not a good life, but these are 4 uncomfortable signs you're in the right direction.
Yeah, maybe someone living in Africa would disagree with number 3.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
No, but this is a funny comment. I mean it more as a funny comment. Like maybe someone who's hungry all the time. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think my life's going in a very good direction. Okay, what's number 4? And let's bring it home with the good life, good life aspects.
It's similar to number 2, pressure, fear, pressure. Like for me, it was pressure. Am I gonna be able to grow my business? Am I gonna be able to meet the plan or the target for my company this month? Pressure.
Yeah, I get that one.
I love this Billie Jean King quote that, like, I think even Nike made a big ad about it, but like, pressure is a privilege.
I agree.
It was about that, so that's why it came to my mind.
Yeah, I like the idea of pressure. And I have a good friend who's doing a master's right now, struggling a lot. I haven't done a master's. But my university, as much as I love my university, I think it was not nearly as difficult as university should be. Why? Because it just wasn't. I see many of my friends who have studied their university in Colombia or other places around the world, and usually they struggle much more than I feel the people, me and my peers did during the time we were in university. Um, that's not to say that it was great education. I learned a lot, did great connection, and I actually think that's the bigger benefit from going to university, which is like learning to um, behave around older people and adults. Anyways, having a very tough time right now because there's like in their exam period for their masters, very difficult time. And I see them struggle and I know they're having a very difficult time and I feel jealous. And I know they're jealous of me because I'm enjoying my weekends. I'm going to nice
Yeah.
dinners in the evenings, but I'm jealous of them because that becomes their baseline. You know, now they know how hard they can push. And you only ever do that when you're pressured. So being in that uncomfortable situation of, I need to do this to make ends meet, you know, it pushes you to do things you had never done before to the point that in the future, if shit comes to shove, you know, you have it in you. And yeah, I think pressure is a privilege. I fully agree with that. Yeah. I wanted to, like, maybe in theme with life hacks. I mean, I have my own podcast and this idea that I haven't really moved towards or like done anything for, but I would really like to sometime soon. Hopefully, the next time I'm with our parents, I'm going to do it, which is I heard it from someone. Everyone should record a series of podcasts with their parents.
Yeah.
And we have a very big family, but I think we could all benefit from it. And it's something that I'm kind of going to gift us and our sisters, which is I'm going to sit with each of them separately and then also sit with each of them, like both of them together. And I'm going to record like genuinely like a series of podcasts, none of which I'm going to release. Like they're not for public distribution, just for us, you know, because I think there's so much you never learn about your parents. Also, I think genetics is a beautiful thing. And I think many of the things that we're going to struggle with, they have struggled with their whole lives. So it's this idea of
Makes sense.
Chris Williamson had this guy in the podcast. I cannot remember who it was, but he was saying that one of the most beautiful things about having his own son, it was a man. So he was speaking specifically about his son, was seeing a mini him grow up, right?
Cool.
And understanding so much more about himself through seeing this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15-year-old grow and go through life.
Cool.
And in the same way that I think you as a parent can learn from your children and see things and understand things from yourself through seeing your kids grow up, I think us as adults are going to resonate with so many of the stories that our parents have, or like experiences that our parents have had. And I mean, it's no is no news for anybody that parents are not there forever. Usually they go before we do, unfortunately. And I hope that we can. I mean, I would love to have my parents for the rest of my life, but most likely thing is they eventually won't be here. And when they don't, it would be nice to have something to listen to, even if it's just to listen to their voice, you know? So yeah, that's one of the things. Life hack: go and record a podcast with your parents. Have like at least 10 episodes. Do like 5 with each, like 5 with mom, 5 with dad, and then 5 together. And then like keep that for the records. Show it to your son and daughter when they're older. I think that it's going to be very fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's not. It doesn't only have to be about like life lessons. It can be about life's problems and stories. Well, like advice that you have received, advice that you have given. So it's a bunch of things that you can talk about.
It could be about ideas. It could be about anything. Just like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I haven't even told them, but it's something that I want to do with them.
Nice.
Is there any closing thoughts you would want to?
Yeah, there was one. I just want to share this last thought, and it's for the last months I have been hiding behind confusion, and I think this is a problem. This is something that many people do. I'm fighting it, and I think I'm going to get through it and to the other side soon. But don't hide behind confusion and behind that idea of not knowing what to do and not knowing what is the exact perfect way to approach this dream or this objective that you have. Don't hide behind that confusion in order to not do it and not get started and not pursue it. And this applies to everything in life. Like it can apply to fitness, it can apply to nutrition, but it can apply to my challenge right now, which is start creating content, start building a personal brand, and start building an audience. For some people, it will be like, I don't know, getting a better job or whatever. But that's like one of the life lessons that I've got recently that I would like to share with you guys.
What is it you're confused about, and what is it you're hiding from?
Two easy examples. I'm, for example, I continuously ask myself if I should have two Instagram accounts, one in English, one in Spanish. And instead of just creating the content, I don't do it, and I hide behind that confusion. Sometimes I hide behind the knowledge trap, which is another way of saying the same, but it's I need to become good at creating hooks. So I have to have a 1 hour conversation with Claude about how to write amazing hooks in order to have my content reach a good audience and have enough views. But the only thing that will make me better, it's doing the thing. It's not having more knowledge, and it's not going in the perfect right direction in terms of language. It's creating the content. And if you do the reps, eventually maybe you can say, man, that was a very good idea. My second or third video was an amazing idea, and it got 100 views, and I'm sad about it because I really loved that idea. Okay, post it again in 1 year. You will probably have 1,000 or 10,000 more followers, which will be more interested in what you have to say, and probably you will be able to say it better because you have created 100 or 200 videos and you're much more good at speaking or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you need to
this
be
is the
kind to
example.
yourself. You need to respect yourself to know that you're going to be better later on. And I mean, I have so many thoughts on this, but there's this James Clear quote that I like a lot that says, when you're stuck searching for the optimal plan, remember, getting started changes everything. And it's what you say, like preparing to do the thing is not doing the thing, saying how you're going to do the thing is not doing the thing, telling people how great it's going to be when you do the thing is not doing the thing. The only thing that's like doing the thing is doing the thing, you know? So you might as well just, hey, I don't know which way is the best way to do this. Just go for one of them. If it's wrong, it's most likely it's this idea of Jeff Bezos. You have two-way decisions, one-way decision. Most decisions we make in life are two-way decisions, right?
A two-way door, no?
Yeah. Two-way door, yeah. There's an even better, and I like this one even more. which is the idea of some decisions are hats, some decisions are haircuts. A hat you can put on,
Amazing.
you can take off. Some other decisions are uh, a bit more permanent.
Tattoos.
So they're like haircuts, and some other ones are like tattoos. Yeah, that's the third type of decision. So yeah, I mean, this is probably like this is a hat decision, or this is maybe even a haircut decision, because in the end you're gonna have to commit to whatever you choose for a little bit. Otherwise, how are you gonna know if it's a good or bad idea? So sure, you will cut your hair. You do a mullet. Maybe a mullet
It'll
looks
grow
bad on
again.
you. It'll grow again, you know. But yeah, I'm actually thinking of getting a mullet. I'm considering it. That would be crazy. But yeah, we can finish the podcast with mullets. Or is there anything you would want to say?
I'm good. I'm good. I really love this episode. I
Yeah, it was very fun.
I
For
hope
anyone
people like it
listening,
as much as I liked doing it.
yeah, it was great. It was great. And for anyone listening until the end, go check out Juan's Instagram page. Hopefully, his content gets better as he continues to do the reps. He needs to improve. Cut him some slack. Cut me some slack. I'm bad at this still. I'm gonna get better. I respect myself enough to know that I'm eventually gonna be great at this. And yeah, this is episode 8 of many episodes to come. So yeah, thanks for tuning in.